Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of 28 Years Later. This movie is directed by Danny Boyle, who previously directed 28 Days Later, as well as 127 Hours. And this movie stars Alfie Williams, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Jodie Comer. Now, the plot of this movie takes place 28 years later, since the infection in Europe. And now we find our main character, Spike, played by Alfie Williams, on a coming of age story. First with his father, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and then later with his mother, played by Jodie Comer. Now, this is similar to the first two movies in the sense that it follows a main character and their journey through this world, this chaos. And it takes Spike to discover something about his father, but also makes a discovery of his own about life and death and his trip to go visit this mysterious character, which I'll get into. Now, having seen the trailer to this movie, I got real excited because I liked the first two movies, and each movie seems to be different, and this third one is another example of that. But I was like, all right, it's going to be, filmmaking, technology, everything's advanced so much in our world that I was excited for how intense this movie was going to be, and I was expecting this, really engrossing story. And then I heard that they might make a sequel to this movie, and having seen the movie, I can understand why. Now, let me start with the acting in this movie. Alfie Williams as Spike is the standout in this movie because I like when kid actors take you by surprise and do really good jobs and, don't just play kid roles. They don't play the children. They don't play, the younger brother or the younger sister and they just, are another sibling while your main character is a teenager or an adult or what have you. Here, this character of Spike undergoes all these emotions and he undergoes things that are adult oriented because the world has been experiencing this infection for 28 years. The world has changed, and I like child character actors, like in The Walking Dead with Carl and others, where you have a character that's living in this world and they have to adapt. They don't know what things were before, so they're just used to this world. And so I think Alfie Williams did a really good job here. Aaron Taylor Johnson, he was okay. His character makes you believe that it's going to be one thing, and then he's like just a dad trying to teach his kid how to shoot an arrow and get by in this world. There's not a whole lot to his character because it's not in it for the entire time. Jodie Comer, I think, does a better performance because when we first meet her, we know there's something off about her. We know she's ill or something is not quite right. And then as the movie progresses and we get to see more of her and how her interaction with Spike is and what her condition's like, she knocks it out of the park. The last time I saw her was in The Bike Riders. And I thought she was an American actress. And here, we see there's more to her. Ray Fiennes is also in this movie, and he kills it. His role was different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought he was going to be like this rogue guy that's been around in this world hunting the infected or the zombies. Or I thought he was going to be like, your typical survivor type character like Lawrence Fishburne in Predators, where this character is totally wackadoo, totally out of it, totally has gone crazy because they've been in this world and they've had to survive alone for so long. But, Ray Fiennes, he's good. But he plays, something against type. And he does a really good job. The side characters in this movie, I don't recall their names. You have a guy that plays a soldier, and then you have other actors and actresses that play part of the village or the community that they're in. Which, the way this movie is structured is it kind of teases at different characters and it shows them for a little bit. And because they're part of a bigger group, a bigger community, they're characters that we're probably going to see again in the future. Now, one thing I did like about this movie is the clashing of lifestyles and technology. Because some of these characters have only known their isolated community, they don't know what the outside world is like. They don't know what came before. Buildings, technology, cars, phones, guns, what have you. Because they're simply using primitive methods. They're using bows and arrows, something that's silent, something that doesn't, attract any infected. And so I liked that because whenever you have a character that has been living a lifestyle for so long, when they're introduced to technology or things that seem futuristic to them, it's always neat to see that interaction there. Now, I will say some things that I didn't care for in this movie is the story structure. The story, I think, in this movie is the weakest element of the entire film. It follows Spike throughout the film. The movie has a prologue, it's Spike's story, and then there's an epilogue to the movie. Now, the prologue, the beginning, like these other two movies we've seen in this franchise, are the best parts of this film, and to me, the most memorable part of the movie. It's intense. It's real intense. It's like childhood trauma 101, as my friend likes to call it, because the beginning of this movie is what we've seen in the trailers, with all the kids in the room watching TV, and then the outbreak happens and the world goes to hell, and it's insane, it's sad, and it's something that you never want to see young people experience. Yeah, it's crazy. This movie takes all the elements, all the tropes from other zombie stuff we've seen before, like The Walking Dead or what is it called, World War Z or Z Nation, and it takes a left turn. It does, it sets up what you think's going to happen, and then it's like, nah, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's right, this is a Danny Boyle movie, so it's going to be different in like almost every aspect. Also, Danny Boyle likes to use a lot of bright colors and he has a shooting style. The first two movies were set in like the 2000s, so it had that look to it. Here, Danny Boyle likes to use a bunch of film footage of like old time, like medieval times, to like establish, what archers do when they roll, and it's just a little weird. Aside from using old-timey footage to establish things in the community, he also, I think, he uses his music really randomly. The music is like always amped up, and even when slow, boring parts are happening, the music is there to get you, excited, and it's ramped up, and it's there to emit a certain emotion from you. There's no downtime in this movie because the soundtrack or the action on screen won't allow for it. Also, this movie felt like a setup for another movie. Like I said earlier, it teases certain characters that we're going to see more of. The film has a beginning, it has Spike's story, and then it has an epilogue, which leads into something else, which was a little strange at first, the ending, because I didn't understand it. But then if you realize the beginning of this movie and the very end of the movie connect, then you'll see and understand and appreciate more. There's some random things in this movie that I didn't expect, that if I were to tell you, I don't want to spoil anything, but if I were to tell you that there was I'll say a lot of zombie parts in the movie, it's like they did a casting call and were like, hey, who wants to be a naked zombie running through the field? Okay, so there's a lot of that in this movie. There's an antagonist named Samson in this film that, was set up really well, like, Army of the Dead. We thought it was going to be one thing, and then it's not, and it's just a lot of this movie is setup, and it feels like setup. And so really, until this new franchise is finished, I can't give the movie an honest grade. I can only grade this movie on what we got. There's a couple things that are just random in this movie. You're like, okay, there's a scene between two mothers on a bus that we haven't seen before, but was interesting. There's a nice touching moment involving Ray Fiennes' character where he tells someone about, memento mori, remember death, but also how to appreciate life and acknowledge death. And there's a really touching and surprisingly beautiful scene involving Spike and another character that I was like, wow, this is touching. So yeah, this movie is not my favorite in the franchise, but I'm excited to see where it goes next. And so because of that, I'm going to give 28 Years Later a B-. The acting was good for the most part, and I'm really excited to see where this goes next, because this movie had us waiting for so long, and we got this film. I'm glad we got another one, but it just was a little underwhelming. So until next time, guys, see ya.